Okay, let me know when you're ready. We got this 3 minutes after the hour.
Okay, I'm ready when you are.
Okay, here we go then.
Okay.
Greetings, this is Brother Jamal, and you're listening to Inner Light Radio, the healing frequency.
Oh my goodness. We're about to have a problem. Greetings, family. Welcome to Reverend J's Self Care Station. I'm your host, Reverend Jaquetta. We've changed our purpose, but not our focus. This is still the place where we take a look at holistic self care to include the mental, physical, emotional, spiritual, cultural, financial, and social, because all those aspects impact our health. We still focus on the five pillars of self care for our body temple, which are nutritious food, clean water, fresh air, exhilarating exercise, and rejuvenating rest. To, and now, though, our purpose is to keep those who help us stay healthy to be healthy. Yes, practitioners and pros, we are talking to you. We're here to support you. We've added a business component to our support also so that you get your business to support you as you support your clients. So let us get ready to be our best selves in 2026. We always begin by offering a libation to honor the ancestors, the shoulders on which we stand. So while you get your water or other liquid ready, let me first say we honor the Creator.
Well, and don't get the bridge, oh, that brought you on over. Don't you forget the bridge, that brought you on over. Don't you forget the
Don't
bridge,
forget the
that brought you
bridge.
on.
Now, usually I read someone's story and share the one of our foundations, but I found something online and the sister says it so well that I wanted to present a recording instead. So please listen about Onesimus.
Anything else. In 1721, smallpox tore through the city so badly that people nailed red warning signs to their front doors that said, God have mercy on this house. Half the city got infected, bodies everywhere, families wiped out, people terrified to touch each other. And the one thing that could help stop it came from an enslaved African man. And Boston almost chose death instead. Because white people in colonial America would rather die than admit that a black man knew something that they didn't. So in 1706, a West African man was enslaved and brought to Boston. A minister named Cotton Mather renamed him Onesimus. Not his real name, but that's the name that they gave him. One day, Mather asked Onesimus if he ever had smallpox. And Onesimus basically said yes and no, because back home in West Africa, he had undergone a procedure that protected people from the disease: a small cut, material from an infected sore, a mild infection, and then immunity for life. This was an early form of inoculation, meaning while Europe was still out here praying and panicking, African societies already had medical practices that reduced smallpox deaths. So when smallpox exploded in Boston in 1721, Cotton Mather told the doctors to try the African method. Almost every white doctor refused, not because it didn't work, but because it came from a black enslaved man. People started rioting, y'all. A literal bomb was thrown through Mather's window. Newspapers mocked him for trusting African knowledge. Religious leaders called the procedure evil. Doctors called it barbaric. And all I could think of while reading this was y'all would really rather stock bodies than admit that an African man was right. That's how committed they were to racism. One doctor finally listened, Dr. Zebdiel Boyston. He tested the procedure, and the results were undeniable. The death rate among inoculated patients was dramatically lower than among people who caught smallpox naturally. The African method worked. Duh. Worked so well that inoculation spread through the colonies. George Washington later required it for his troops during the Revolutionary War. The science evolved over generations into vaccinations, and eventually smallpox became the first human disease ever eradicated from Earth. Think about that. One of the greatest medical breakthroughs in human history traces back to knowledge carried here by an enslaved African man, whose real name we don't even know. Onesimus helped save Boston while he was still enslaved. Still enslaved. Imagine helping the people that refused to call you fully human. Imagine giving your medical knowledge to a society that hated you enough to erase your real name. We were told his name was Onesimus, but if we're being real, he proved something. This country owes more of its survival to Black people than it's ever been honest about. Say his name, Onesimus.
Onesimus. Ashe and Ashe. I didn't note the sister's name who gave us that story, and I'm sorry for that remission. But we there are so many who brought their knowledge with them, whether it was braided in their hair, carried in their heads, woven into their clothing. It's all about us, family. So thank you. We honor Onesimus today. Now, today I have with me Sister Ja Gracious again. She has been with us before and we talked about elemental alchemy. We're going to talk about that again today. Um, First, I'd like for Ja Gracious, welcome, sister, to tell us a little bit more about herself so that we know more about her journey, and then we'll talk about elemental alchemy and what that means.
Thank you for that warm and gracious introduction. I am Janice or Ja Gracious, also known as Farmer Bay. I
Mhm.
am energy. I am sound. I am my ancestors' wildest dream manifested into reality. And I say that because they prayed that I would return to the South, the Black Belt, the Bible Belt, the Food Belt. And that's exactly what I did, all the way from Los Angeles, California. I heard the call and answered it, and I migrated 15 years ago. And I've lived in numerous cities. I've served numerous communities in the Black Belt, and it has truly been an honor to awaken that servant leader within me. I remember when I resisted and refused leading, and now I've surrendered and I accept this destiny, this crown. I recently said that my crown isn't heavy anymore. They say that, the head that wears the crown is heavy. And I feel like the crown is lighter now
Mhm.
because my heart is lighter. So I am the epitome of unconditional love. I'm not just a leader or a servant leader. I am a lover. I am in this phase of my life where I am giving love and receiving it. I remember when I was just giving and giving and giving, or sowing and sowing and sowing. And now I have learned to open up my heart widely and keep it open no matter what I experience in life. So it's an honor to be an example for my community, a source of inspiration, a source of light, a source of love. And as an earth angel, an earth doula, I can go on and on and on when it comes to different titles. At the end of the day, they all represent the same thing, and that is love for humanity, especially for myself first and foremost. Because if I don't love myself unconditionally, I wouldn't be able to love anyone else. And so I am just so grateful to be aware, awakened, enlightened, and empowered by so many beautiful people in my soul tribe. So I am unwaveringly supported. I would not be who I am today if it wasn't for my divine reflections in my spirit family. So I just want to take a moment to thank them because I am everyone and everything. We are all interconnected
Ashe.
and we are one breath and one spirit. Hmm. I can keep going. Or I can just move forward. It's up
Because
to, yeah,
because you're
you, Reverend
constantly
Janet.
transitioning. Is this? Well, you said some things that I want to revisit because they tie directly into elemental alchemy. First, before I tie some things together, explain what elemental alchemy is.
Of course. Elemental alchemy. It is the conscious art of transforming ourselves by aligning
Mhm.
ourselves with the wisdom and divine intelligence of the natural world. Ancient alchemical traditions taught that all life expresses through the elements of air, fire, and even ether. And many traditions also recognize that mm, we are nature. And I know a lot of people believe
Mhm.
that we are separate from nature. And in my opinion, separation is the main illusion of them all. And I've been able to study a lot of these ancient traditions and remember that I am nature. So I'm not just protecting nature, I'm protecting myself. I'm not just cultivating nature, I'm cultivating myself. And my mission is to help people remember
Mhm.
that they are not separate from nature, to be as simple as I can, because I like to
Ashe.
keep things simple now, one breath at a time. And we are nature expressing itself in human form.
Ashe. And one thing I've have learned is that all the elements, those elements you were mentioning, earth, wind, and fire, and the ether and water, all of those elements to some extent are in every single thing. So when we try to separate ourselves from being part of nature, we're denying that we have those same elements. We all have those same elements to some extent existing within us. So I wanted to, since you've explained what elemental alchemy is, and you said it's the conscious art of transforming, because we're always changing. We're always transforming. We're always transmuting one way or another. But elemental is the alchemy is a conscious art.
Mhm.
And so I was listening to you talk about how you've learned to keep your heart open.
Mhm.
What kinds of changes took place in you, and how did you learn to keep your heart open?
Mm. That's a quality question. There's numerous things that I've experienced that made me close my heart. And I feel like after experiencing
Mhm.
that, that is why I'm focused on keeping it open because I know how it feels when it's closed. And I think that is
Mhm.
important that we celebrate everything. So I celebrate those transformative experiences. I say that instead of traumatic, being abandoned. And now that I have evolved, I feel like everything is in divine order. And so
Mhm.
experiencing that just made me actually never want to abandon people.
Mhm.
And then being sexually assaulted by a family member, that probably was one of the main things that I experienced in my lifetime that watered that seed of unconditional love within me. I feel like there are some things you may love unconditionally, effortlessly, and then there are certain things, certain people you have to learn how to love unconditionally. I was just talking
Mhm.
about how I'm learning how to actually love my parents unconditionally at this age.
Mhm.
It's a choice. Everything is a choice. And
Right.
when I was working at the largest certified organic farm in 2019, I met Richard Bland and I asked him, why are melanated people so forgiving? And he said, Johnny's, it's because
And
we
what was his answer?
so simple. That's why my desire is to keep things simple. He said, Johnny's, it's because we are the epitome of unconditional love. And he was in his 90s at that time. And so he experienced so much in life and was still open-hearted. He was still open-hearted. I would
Mhm.
never forget
Mhm.
him. I'm so grateful that I asked him that question. It changed my life. And then that seed that was already in me, I felt like was fertilized with that answer because it's in everyone.
Mhm.
It just hasn't
Mhm.
been fertilized or it hasn't been watered.
Right.
I was sexually assaulted in 2019 as well. So then my tears watered that seed for years. And I
Mhm.
realized that my heart was closed when I was in the Sacred Woman program. So when I really started to look within, think about how heavy my heart was because we were focusing
Mhm.
on mm, studying the Nile Valley civilization and
Mhm.
learning how to keep our heart as light as an ostrich feather. I actually have an ostrich feather on my desk to remind me to keep my heart open and as light as an ostrich feather. And of course, I've been asking myself for years, what can I do to lighten my heart? And in the program, I had a revelation that I needed to
Mhm.
take off my
So
armor.
what describe your armor? What does that mean? What does that look like wearing armor?
Mm.
Because I'm sure a lot of people feel like that they can benefit from knowing what it looks like, what it feels like to constantly wear armor, and how to take it off.
What it looks like is, I'll start what it feels like. I think that's the easier question. It feels like anxiety. It feels like uh, stress. It feels like
Mm.
mm, self-abandonment and self-betrayal, self-resentment. And of course, you can feel abandoned by others and betrayed by others as well, and resent others. Now that I have healed, I'm like, you were just abandoning yourself. You were just betraying yourself. Of course, at a certain age, when you're younger, you're not aware or conscious. But once I was conscious, I started to betray myself because of my fears. So it looks like
Mhm.
living in the past, dwelling on the
So
past.
constantly going over the incidents that have hurt you
Mhm,
and what made you feel abandoned, going over and over that kind of thing.
mhm,
Okay. So when we're constantly viewing it again and again and again in our heads, that is part of what plants the seed that makes the armor. You want to protect yourself. You feel like you need to be on guard from other people when actually the pain is coming from inside. Because, like you said earlier, it's all a choice. You're deciding and choosing how you're going to perceive what this person said, what this person did. So you're choosing to. So when you decided to take off your armor, you made a different choice. What kind of choices were you making when you made that decision?
The first choice was receiving love from myself. I was like, if I have this armor on, if I close my heart, then
Mm-hmm.
I won't be able to receive self-love. So I was working on loving myself unconditionally at that time. And I wanted to be able to receive the fullness of my love. And I also was healing myself. So how can I heal myself with armor on? I feel like you can be emotionally avoidant or not accountable
Mm-hmm.
or
Mm-hmm.
not mm, emotionally authentic. And I wanted to be emotionally authentic. I wanted to be able to express that I was sad, that I was angry, that I was afraid.
Mm-hmm.
I wanted to be able to also let other people assist me. And I felt very guarded because of that armor. I didn't know
Mm-hmm.
who was truly genuine or who was going to harm me.
Right.
Most of the time, hurt people. So I feel like a lot of people that did hurt me, they didn't mean to hurt me. And so when I took off my
Mm-hmm.
armor, I was able to realize one, how I've hurt people with that armor and that shield and the sword,
Mm-hmm.
assuming that people had an alternative motive, especially being from Los Angeles. So that is something that we're taught. And I was learning also how to trust myself, listen to my intuition, started to learn
Mm-hmm.
more about discernment. And I think, yeah, just being able to take off that armor and truly experience what it felt like without it. It kind of feels like a turtle without a shell. I felt fragile
Yeah.
at the
Yeah,
beginning.
that's what I picture when you started saying take off the armor. I always picture the turtle coming out of the shell. Sometimes I think
Yes,
in cartoons, and
that's
that's what I saw.
how
And and I'm going to share a story. Is a story about you. I remember us having a conversation one time. This is early on when we were first starting to talk, and everything you said anything that you said that you didn't quite understand yet or see yet, you said, okay, yeah, but I'll figure it out. And you keep going. And I said, wait, you don't have to figure out everything. You know, you can ask some people, right? You know, some of us have been through some things, and I'm perfectly willing to share with you if I can. You don't have to figure everything out. And that's part of having that armor on. We feel like, "Oh, okay, I got it. I'm you feel like in order to be strong, which is what people expect of us, Black women, we must be strong. We must hold it down. We must hold it up. You know, we have to do we have to do everything. So, you know, I'll get it. I don't need to ask questions. I don't need any help. But just, you know, I saw how just hearing that you said, okay, so I can call you period. I said, yeah, yeah, call me. And so that taking off the shell, it might start real small. It might start with just say, and, you know, and if we think about the turtle, how they have the patterns on their shell, it might just be taking one little piece out at a time, one little piece, and take a piece from here. And after a while, we're able to actually be vulnerable with other people, vulnerable with ourselves, admitting to ourselves, yeah, I got some weaknesses. I remember the turning point for me was, you know, I felt like I did not cry in front of other people. I did not let people see me sad. I didn't I was the person everybody came to for advice. And I remember this one time, it's something as simple as this. A friend of mine was washing his wall and he had dirty water in the bucket.
Mhm.
And in in my life, I would have just, you know, flicked it off if dirty water got on me, but I don't like dirty water. I think that's nasty. You got stuff. I don't know where all the dirt came from in that bucket. And I said, ew, cooties, don't do that. And something as simple as that, something as small as that, showing my vulnerability, showing that this bothers me. This is a cootie and I don't want it. Open the floodgates for me to be vulnerable, to take off my armor and let people know I'm sad, I'm angry, I'm all the whole span of emotions. It started to become okay just from something that small. So I want our listeners to understand that it doesn't have to be a great big thing. It doesn't, you know, when you mention taking off the armor, it doesn't mean that all of a sudden you the next day you're a brand new person.
Mhm.
It can be small things.
Mm, I agree. Mm.
Okay, we need to take a break, and then when we come back, I made some other connections, but you might have some things you want to share yourself, but I did make some other connections between your introduction of yourself and elemental alchemy. So we're going to take a break and come right back.
Reverend J is here to bring some light with guest of wisdom and a pure delight. Moat's feather guides us home, truth and balance we have known. Justice held in open hands, harmony across these lands. Stars align in sacred dance, life in Egypt's grand expanse. Ma'at divine, in every sign, is light in pure delight. Ma'at divine, our sacred line, feather white, guiding light. Lessons from the days of old, in our balanced hearts unfold. Wave than truth shall seal our fate. Ancient temples rise and stand, echoes of a timeless land. Goddess with the feather fine, in her grace we seek her sign. My act divine, in every sign. Heart is light, in pure delight. My act divine, our sacred line. Feather white, guiding light.
Thank you, family. Thank you, family, for taking a break with us and for coming back with us. I'm here with Jah Gracious, and we're talking about elemental alchemy. We've discussed some of the transformations that take place in us, and that is alchemy, that conscious transformation. So, Sister Jah,
Mhm.
one thing you mentioned that I wanted to go back to was that um, your crown is lighter because your heart is lighter, and you want to keep your heart open through the pain. What might that look like?
Keeping my heart open through the pain. I feel like that's what alchemists do. You could say master
Mm,
alchemists. They're quick to alchemize the pain into peace, the pain into pleasure, the pain into profit.
mhm,
And that's how I feel now, which is why I am not just an alchemist, but an elemental alchemist, because, like you were talking about earlier, we are the earth, we are the water, we are the air, we are the fire, and also the spirit. And so
mhm,
the water within can pollute us if we aren't
mhm.
thinking loving thoughts.
Right,
If you feel like you're drowning, a lot of people say that they feel like they're drowning. I feel like people feel like they're drowning because they aren't expressing how they feel. And so,
right.
yes, just being an alchemist and also a healer, they go hand in hand. So me learning
Mhm,
how to be able to heal myself first and foremost, and then surround myself with other healers, like you said, me surrounding myself with people like you have changed my life, shifted my paradigm, because I tell people that all the time. What you said earlier, I'm like, you don't have to figure it out. It's already figured out. Already figured out. Already figured out. Now the student has become the teacher. And
Ashe, ashe.
me learning how to mm, see the silver lining in everything. I think that is also a part of being an alchemist. I've been able to
Mhm,
realize that I, I will give you an example since I already shared that I was sexually assaulted. When I moved back home in 2021 to allow my family to help me heal, I had no idea that a couple of years later, my brother would transition. Actually, not even a couple years, because I moved back to Tuskegee
Mm.
in 23, and then the next year after that, my little brother transitioned. And I'm like, I'm so grateful that he sexually assaulted me because I would have never moved back home. And I got to spend a year and a half with my little brother, basically every
Oh,
I was with my little
wow.
because I did not want to be outside as, the youth
Hmm.
says. And maybe, elders say that too. Uh, and so just thinking about that now, I'm able to like reflect on how everything that has ever happened to me that I felt
Hmm.
like was
Hmm.
traumatic actually worked out in my favor. And in that
Right, right, right,
moment,
right.
it doesn't feel like it. Right? You may feel like you're drowning, you may feel like you're burning alive, but you're actually just the phoenix that is rising.
Yes, yes. Because that was going to be one of the things I touched on because you said you started to learn to see things as transformative
Mhm.
instead of traumatic. And my favorite scripture in the world is Romans 8:28 that says, all things work together for good to them who love the Lord and are called according to his purpose. And so I used to say daily, all things work together for good. And when something went wrong, that's when I really focused. I said, okay, something's coming. Something good has to be coming after this because this doesn't feel good. It doesn't feel good in the moment, but it gave you a whole different perspective on being molested. And e- everything that happens to us has, I picture it like the sun with rays coming out of it. It has so many different purposes. And sometimes we might get only one purpose from it. We might realize three or four things afterward and say, oh, that's what was supposed to come out of that. That's what, you know, and there may be even more things that came out of that whole experience with sexual molestation, but you got at least this one. You said, okay, it brought me home. It brought me home.
Hmm. Yes,
Mm.
I now rejoice. I now,
Right, right, right,
I,
right.
I wouldn't change anything that has ever happened to me, especially that, because, yeah, like, how would I have known, to move back home?
Right.
I would have been still in the South, steward in the land, serving
And
the
who knows
community.
how you would have been stewarding, because even in that process, you learned that part of your stewarding didn't necessarily mean to keep giving and giving and giving and giving. You learned through that there was
There were
another one of
multiple,
those
like you
rays
said,
off the sun.
multiple purposes, because I
Yeah.
agree wholeheartedly that made me focus on prioritizing me.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I learned
Yeah.
there are so many ways to serve the community or humanity. And the
Hmm.
easiest and, in my opinion, the most impactful way to serve humanity is by serving myself.
Yes.
Hurting myself. Self-stewardship
Exactly.
is now the priority. Then I'll steward everything else after
Hmm.
that if I have the capacity.
Right, because you can't pour from an empty cup. So you have to take care of yourself first. That's part of the Reverend J's self-care teachings. You have to take care of self first. I teach that to caregivers, and so I extend that to farmers and extend that to psychologists and everybody else in the world who's caring for other people. You can't do it when you're just continually pouring out and you never give anything back to yourself. You have to.
And I love that you said you can't pour from an empty cup because when I was in LA healing myself, I was at the beach and I started to reflect on that quote. And then I realized that in that moment I had took off the armor and learned to receive my love. And I was looking at the ocean and I was like, huh, I am the ocean. I'm not a cup. And the ocean will never run dry, and neither will I. And what that means specifically is, okay, I don't have an abundance of time in this lifetime. I don't have
Right.
an abundance of energy. I have an abundance of love, though. And I can give that
Yeah.
love from a distance. I can give that love in an intimate setting. I can give that love at a conference, at a workshop, at a seminar. I can give that love in the grocery store. I can give that love when I'm walking down the street, just by exuding it, by
Right.
being it. So it's actually like, yes, they say love is
Right.
what a verb. It can be, of course, a noun, an adjective. I focus on all
Mhm.
three. The easiest and most impactful way is being the epitome of unconditional love and people being able to feel it without you saying anything. Let your presence,
Right.
your essence speak for you.
Right. Right. Exactly. Because you don't have to, sometimes you don't have to say anything. And that's, when people lose loved ones, sometimes, I had a cousin who literally lost three sisters within a year. And we just kept getting these messages, yeah, so and so passed away, so and so passed away. I'm like, what in the world? So I saw my cousin, the last remaining sister, in the store, and I was saying, how are you doing? And it's a topic everybody typically wants to dance around because you don't want to just come out and say, girl, you lost all your sisters. But I approached it and I said, how are you handling losing all three of your sisters like so close together? She said, within a year. And she just started talking. She said, within a year, all three of them just left. She said, it's been the weirdest thing. People don't call. She said, and I talked to one of my nephews, and he said the reason he doesn't call is because he doesn't know what to say. He said,
Mm,
I don't even know how to broach the subject. I don't know what to say to you. You lost three of your sisters. She said, but people don't realize they don't have to say anything. You can just call and talk about your life, talk about your day, talk about just knowing they're calling, you feel the love just in the call. You don't have to try to find polite and gentle words to coddle the person who's had a loss. Just be present. Be
mhm,
present. And they can feel the love. I'm sure you felt the love when people reached out. They didn't, you know, they didn't have to be saying anything about your brother. They
mhm,
didn't have to say anything about you and your pain in that moment. Just be there. Just be there. And I've told people, feel free to just come and sit and look at the water. If you want to come sit on the porch, you don't have to talk to me. I don't have to talk to you. And I have had people come and just sit out on the patio and look out at the water. And one sister, I was trying to be polite and I was sitting out there on the bench. She said, "You don't have to stay." It's like, "Oh, okay, I'm dismissed." Okay. So I went inside. She came and knocked on the door before she left and said, "Bye." We don't have to always have words. The love doesn't need words all the time. Sometimes words get in the way of expressing the love.
mhm. I agree. I had talked to one of my sisters recently, and I talked to her on the phone mm, for hours because we haven't talked in probably like a year and a half. And one of the things that she
Mhm.
said, it was a breath of fresh air. She said, I trust you with you. I trust you with you.
Mm.
When I thanked her for the space and the grace, because I actually like sent
Mhm.
a telepathic message to everyone asking for space.
Yeah.
I wanted space. I didn't want people
Mhm.
to call me. It was nice seeing people
Mhm.
call and seeing people text. I knew I didn't have the
You're
capacity.
right.
I knew that I wasn't
Right.
going to be able to text everybody back. And so I also learned how to be at peace with that because I was like, the people that love me unconditionally, they trust me with me. They trust me with me. And
Yeah.
they will be there when I am ready. They will be there
Mhm.
when
Yep.
it's in alignment. And I feel like, yeah, there are people that will say things like, sorry for your loss. And I was quick to say,
Mhm.
I'm not sorry. I gained an ancestor. I lost the
Yeah.
ability to hug, the ability to see.
Mm.
And I see him in my dreams. There are ways to still see, there are ways to still hear.
Mhm.
And yes, I feel like
So talk to me a little bit about that. What does it mean to you then that he's now an ancestor? What new access do you have?
I'm in the process of
Why
learning.
is that comforting knowing he's an ancestor? Hmm.
Okay, I'll start with that. It's comforting because I prepared for it. And you
Mm.
actually helped
Hmm.
prepare me. And I don't even know what year that was.
How so?
I
How
was thinking
so?
about the year, but I know I was 25. So 8 years ago,
Hmm.
I went to my first sister circle and you all poured libations. And you were the one, I believe, that poured libations.
Ashe.
And you continuously pour libations and pay
Yeah.
homage to the ancestors. And in that moment, I started to reflect, and I was like, okay, we do this in the hood. We do this when people transition. We'll pour liquor out for the dead homies, but I never seen anybody
Hmm.
pour libations. It is such a
Hmm.
ancient tradition, and you are a keeper of traditions. And I was so grateful to be able to witness that in that moment, in that phase of my life. And so I was prepared over the years to be able to honor
Yeah.
him as an ancestor because
Hmm.
I've had a couple of family members that have transitioned. He was the one that I was closest to, that I would have
Hmm.
died for. We wanted to
Yeah.
trade with my brother. And so I basically raised him since I'm 11 years older than him. And so it was definitely a different experience than when my great grandmother transitioned. She was 96. I'm like, we know it was coming.
Right, right. Yeah, yeah,
We
yeah.
knew you
And he was
were
such a baby.
about to transition.
Right.
And so
Right.
completely different experience. And I feel like you grieve everyone differently. And so
Mhm.
I'm still learning how to actually connect with my ancestors
Okay.
intentionally. Like, of course, you can. eat the food that they love to eat. And so it's watermelon season, and my brother loves. And so I actually just finished a watermelon juice feast yesterday. And
Ashe.
that was the first time I dreamt about my brother. I could have dreamed about him and just couldn't remember the dream. This was the first time I recalled the dream. And so I was like, it had to be the
Mm.
watermelon. It had to be the watermelon. And of course, honoring them by having an altar for them. So I have all of his pictures here.
Mhm.
And I also am learning how to communicate with him just on a normal basis. Like
Mhm.
I asked him the other day, like, what would you do? What would you do?
Yeah, yeah,
Tell me
yeah.
what you would do, because in my opinion, I feel like now that you have transcended and ascended and are one with the spirit again, you can guide me. You are
Exactly.
the spirit. So if I'm talking to spirit, I'm talking to you. If I'm talking to you, I'm talking to the spirit. And so, yes, I'm still in the process of figuring out the practices that I desire to do to specifically honor my brother, also my great grandmother, also my mother's brother. Her younger brother actually transitioned the year before my brother. So it was like back to back.
Oh, yeah. That was difficult for her.
Yeah,
So you were talking about being on a watermelon feast, and for those who are not familiar, that was a fast from other
yeah.
foods, right?
I
Okay.
just
And
watermelon juice.
and that cleansing, when we're not focusing on digesting food and all that stuff, that's part of what opened you up. And if you were focused on your brother, that made it even easier for him to connect with you from
Mm,
the other side and for you to feel him. And it's like you were saying, just asking questions the same way you would if they were here. 'Cause my father was a businessman. Business was always first with him. So when I started doing business, I've started teaching the Bail Business Basics course. I was
mm,
like, okay, Daddy, you got me. Because he wanted me to major in business, and I wanted to major in English when I went to college. I was like, what? I didn't do anything to prepare to major in business. And that was just such a bone of contention for us. But when I started teaching this course, it was like I felt him
mm,
letting me know it's okay because I got you ready. I got you ready. That connection was there. So the same kind of thing, when you start thinking about the things your brother was that were important to him, it starts to come up. The connection is there. You'll feel him. You'll intuit him
mm.
talking to you, communicating with you.
I agree. And I'm
Ashe.
looking forward to more
Ashe.
experiences. These metaphysical experiences are, yeah, just welcomed.
Ashe. Well, we have basically run out of time because we've had such wonderful conversation. So let us know, if do you have any projects you're working on? Are there anything that we as a community need to support you in going forward?
I'll say coming soon. Nothing that I specifically desire to announce at this present moment. I'm about to transition to Georgia, so I feel like I will be coming back on your show to announce projects then, or endeavors, retreats, workshops. I feel like in this present moment, I'm grounded and rooted in this eternal moment while I'm in Birmingham, Alabama, and I want to maximize the time that I have here before I move to Georgia and launch, and truly activate the peacepreneur within me. It's been slowly activating one breath at a time. She's been dormant since I've been focusing on being a non-doer for the past couple of years. And so I'm ready and willing and also fully present in this moment while I am preparing for the future.
Ashe. Okay. Well, I appreciate your presence here. I want to encourage our listeners to go to healinghousecommunity.com. We are establishing our network. It's more than just a membership site. It's for holistic practitioners. And we're establishing a site for people who want to network with one another, who want to reach the public, who want to get training and learn about business, the business of making your business support you. And I'm also adding a time management course. I had forgotten I had a whole time management business at one time. And so I'll be adding a time management course to our lineup, but we're getting that together. So again, healinghousecommunity.com to get more information. And I think that's it. We just had the Holistic Health Expo, so I took a vacation last week. It felt so good. I went and got some sleep. That was delightful. And going, let me see, we don't have anything coming up except in September. We do have a sound bath. We have a sound bath taking place quarterly. So if you're in the Tuskegee area, second weekend in September, come to Healing House for the sound bath. And I think that's all we have going. So again, I thank you, Jah Gracious, for joining me.
You are
And
welcome.
I
Thank you.
I thank our listeners for coming. And until we get together again, be peaceful, productive, and empowered. Shemhotep.
Let's talk about health. Let's talk about food. Let's talk about the mental, the emotional, and the spiritual. Yeah. Let's talk about it. Let's talk about health. Let's talk about food. Let's talk about the mental, the emotional, and the spiritual. Yeah. Let's talk about it. Let's talk about health. Let's talk about food. Let's talk about the mental, the emotional, and the spiritual. Yeah. Let's talk about it. Let's talk about